one before.
Yeah.
He was watching that one. I saw.
Yeah.
That.
Well, they were all here.
Oh, you saw it. That's right.
Yeah.
I've seen him on your.
Because it was my hangout, right?
Right.
So I saw who was there.
Right.
We had everybody basically.
So if you send me that hangout link, then I'll send it to everybody that may have missed it today. I had a couple that were not here. So.
Okay. Hey, Nathan.
Hey there, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm well.
Hey, Cody. Hey, Richard.
Hello.
Hey, Trevor. Hey, Alec.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I'm going to re-invite Jess. It's always difficult, or has difficulty.
Well, last time he wasn't on, he was doing something else. Right?
Yeah, he had another gig or something.
The one time he was watching this from Starbucks.
Speaking of Courtney went to a coffee shop to hang out. And it was like, you could hear the espresso machine going, and people laughing and giggling, spoons dropping on the floor. And I'm like, Courtney, and it's just like the session was all garbled. Like, Courtney, you're just munching all the bandwidth in that store. People need to play Angry Birds. Go somewhere else. Okay. So who's up first tonight? Are you guys, Stefan? I mean, I can check, but I'm not seeing John yet. Well, can you look at the list, just in terms of the order of the list? So you're first.
Oh, John was not around on Monday.
No, he was there.
Tuesday.
Yeah, he was there, and then he was here tonight too.
Well,
He might have come in a little late. I think.
he dropped in and dropped out because I looked for him. I didn't see him on the bottom.
Yeah, he might have dropped off.
I mean, it was like 6 o'clock. I actually had an email from him and I sent him the link to this and I said, John, where are you? Well, he was finishing something for his research day presentation tomorrow. So.
There's John.
There's John.
So you guys are up?
Trying to find the right one. I found the one from a while back.
Can I just come back? I'll be right back.
Sure. I'll look it up. No, Desmond and Andrew. And I don't have them here.
I think they're still in the other one.
I sent a note. I closed it. How can they be there?
On yours. Oh yeah, I see him.
Hey, Fodger.
Hey.
You sent it in.
There. Good.
Andrew, can you hear me okay?
Oh, sorry, what's that?
You guys are up first. Can you make sure that Desmond leaves the first hangout and joins this new one, please?
Yes,
We're waiting for her.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
I know. I'm thinking about probably like turning on the living room light, but I'm like, nah.
One or two couldn't hurt.
Especially like this side right here.
She should be on any second. Just texted her.
Roger.
Gonna be bad.
Did you hear me,
Can he turn off his mic? Yeah, thanks.
Why don't you just come here and tell him? Because he's here. Hung is in the house.
Well, it took him a long time to get in. And he lives closer to me.
Rough crowd. Just a really rough team. That's fine.
What?
Dinner.
Yeah, I'm sure. Andrew's here, but we're waiting for Jasmine. I've invited her a couple of times. I think she's still a long hangout.
Yeah, I sent her a new link also. She said it's not letting her join.
That doesn't look very tasty.
It's for the old diabetic people. I'd say diabetic people with low blood sugar levels.
Any luck, Andrew?
Not from her. She just texted me and said she's trying to join and it's not letting her.
I've sent her three invites. She needs to close the other one.
It looks like she's typing in the chat.
Okay, Caitlin's right behind you.
Yeah.
Why doesn't she just come over?
No, it's Dasman that we're talking about. Andrew and Dasman are up.
I know, but I'm just saying. You're in an online class and you're sitting 10 feet away from the instructor. And you're just looking at your screen.
I know.
It's like the internet cafe. Let's ignore the person.
Yes, it's true.
Something obvious sign.
It's so true. For goodness sake.
What is it now?
Well, let's move on because I just had a New York strip steak and a tossed salad in a cup, and it smells like it just came off the grill. So I'm hungry. So Stefan and John, could you?
You can have that.
That's okay. I'm just kidding. Could you guys go ahead? Sure.
Yep. Sounds good. Stefan, do you want to start or do you want?
You know, you can if you have your volume up, I'll mute.
Can you hear me though?
I can hear you. You're gonna ask the. Oh yeah.
Right, can you guys see the screen? Yeah,
Yep.
so essentially we just started where we, 3 spots that were just kind of on were nowhere, so we redesigned that.
Yeah, the flow makes sense now. I mean, it did before. It's just easy moving around.
Yeah. Like we can move the ones that are on the side on to the bottom of the page.
Aisle to the, along the east property line.
Uh, I think I had around 11'6" minimum. One way.
That's tough. How does that work for the 90 more right-hand side behind the stairs?
Sorry, let me just.
In those 2 spaces.
So this one's 15 foot. This one,
Well, that's okay, right? Because
Yeah.
that's angled.
Yeah.
The
and
2 bottom ones need like 20 foot.
1 second.
Take the one.
The angled wall, it won't let me throw a dimension string. So I can even cut that back. So right now,
Just give me a,
16'9" right now.
so.
And I could cut this back.
Could you put one north and south?
Yep. Put 2 or 3 spots on, actually, yeah.
Is Mark talking right now?
Okay, they're in the,
I mean, what my point is that the 2 that are running east and west, that are south of the stair,
they're a bit
they
awkward.
don't function well. But I think you could get one there for sure.
If I rotate them, I could probably get, because they're both 2 compact ones. So there's 8 feet wide, and we can still have the 1 lane of traffic. Right?
I think that possibly rotate them, just as long as you can make them try to get in there.
And then,
Well, he's got the room, it's just that dimension, where where his cursor is, what is that? Oh, I mean the lateral dimension.
He wants, yeah.
12'6", that's a little bit too little.
Just a drive-by.
Yeah, so technically it does work.
Yeah, but I mean, you could also move those 2 spaces
Yeah.
past a little bit,
Yeah.
closer to the column. I
Yeah.
think that's workable.
Okay, perfect.
One or 2 orphan spaces on the ground floor.
Makes sense. So yeah, so that cleans up our ground floor to have no parking spots, except for the,
Yeah. The other thing, so I think there's some, how should I say this without being confusing? There may be concrete, or there may be just the curbing and.
it's just painted on. Yeah.
Right, so if they're painted, it's a lot more forgiving. Yeah, so like you didn't number your spaces yet, but the one up near the parallel space up near C. Like if I'm parking in the spot up and
Yeah.
down, and no one's parking behind me, yeah,
Mhm.
I don't want to curve there.
Yeah.
You understand? Those are actually really important at elevators. Technically, we're actually supposed to raise them up 3 inches above the normative floor,
Okay.
but everything else should be painted so that they can clean it and maintain it.
Okay.
And make it easier for, yeah, exactly.
Aside that, everything else we've kind of went over the benchmark, and we just kind of and just kind of finishing it off.
What you elect?
So we were looking at the energy model.
Great.
John and I spoke about doing the render text because one of the comments was we didn't have enough, so we wanted to include that. And then the third option, we were either thinking of continuing on doing the more detail section, since we're going to be doing the renderings in 3ds Max materials anyways. Yeah, the com check might take too long if we're already doing the energy model. Those were the three major ones, but.
So Dustin will be happy to connect with you now. If you have questions, shoot them to him. Screenshots, whatever, right? He'll be happy to walk you through any issues that you guys may have as you're doing that.
I think a lot of the stuff that beforehand, in terms of our materials and the thermal properties of what we needed. John, do you have anything else?
Do you want to go over the sketch or no? Do you think I found the sketch, but I don't know. Maybe it's better. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, you share it on your end.
Okay. It was just like I don't know if it's even okay. Yeah. All right. Let me see.
Stop broadcast.
So Mark, this was just going forward with one of the comments from our last benchmark, just how to relate to the history of the site. So we were just trying to sort of build out something that would kind of relate to the house at Kitty Corners house. I forget the name of that house now.
Ransom Gillis.
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, that was it.
What are we looking at here?
So the suites on the corner, we were just going to build out a little like shading device around the balconies there, and I think it just kind of plays off the aesthetic of the Gillis house, the sort of the Victorian corner piece. So just kind of something tying it into the neighborhood.
Is it something that's going to anchor down to the ground, or will it frame it like it's hovering in the sketch?
No, there would be like a single column, just like at the Gillis house on the corner. Something similar.
Gotcha. Oh, I see it now. I see it in the drawing. I think I see it more clearly. Are you going to let it pop up above the normal parapet line as well?
Yeah, we could do that too. I didn't think of it.
Yeah, I'd look at that. Because even in the Ransom Gillis, that line does not align with the gutter line, right? That turret sits above that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we could do that. That'd be.
Yeah.
Be good.
Yeah. Can you maybe also revisit the windows there so that you get more of a kind of a continuous glass expression at the corner? Or just a minimal visual interruption, like a minimal vertical mullion?
We have to look at the structure, but I think we could do like a wraparound glazing, like corner glazing.
Yeah, that would look pretty nifty, because then that really starts to build on what you're looking at as an historical precedent, but also, those are the units that you guys are going to want to live in, right? Those are the units that people really want to buy or rent.
Yeah. I think it works with the structure too, because we have heavy timber column there with
and that would look good.
It'd be easy. Sweet.
And this view as a view shed isn't bad. It's a little high.
Yeah, it's not quite at eye height.
Yeah, but that's okay. And what are we doing for the other materials again?
So it was fiber cement, party board planks for the wood look, and please foam for the darker.
All right.
Okay. What happened to that metal piece that was there?
We were playing around with it for the front because it's really not doing much in terms of what we need. We might actually add it to the back because we have two large two-story windows that we might have to shade off differently. So we're still kind of playing around with ideas how to incorporate that in there. But it doesn't get where it doesn't. It just kind of muddles the.
Maybe it distracts it.
Exactly.
What will the railings be?
Right now we're looking at. We're currently showing perforated metal panels.
Perforated metal.
Yeah.
So maybe that metal panel treatment is, you know,
Right.
cooperative or sympathetic to what you guys explore on the rear courtyard elevation.
There is a color issue on that corner too, and that is the top turret.
Yeah,
That's sort of gunmetal gray.
it's a slate actually.
Slate.
Yeah,
I'm just off the cuff, maybe wonder if that could be a color complement with one of your materials in the corner.
yeah. I mean, if you can use that gray, that gunmetal gray, that would look good.
Yeah, we actually look into the project. I think
They would have that option.
Yeah,
Cool.
cool.
It would offset nicely with the hardy board in terms of kind of that contrast.
Okay, good. So I don't have anything else, but maybe you know, I'm around this weekend. If you have more sketches that show the resolution of this stuff, I'm happy to look at them. Okay, John?
Okay.
On the lab side, I'd love to see more. I'd like to go into more enlarged elevation studies with wall sections and details. And I know you guys know how to calculate things like your R values, right, and your location of your dew points, right? You know how to do that. I think now's the time to think about that. I'm excited that you want to do the energy modeling. I know both you guys are
That's kind of in your wheelhouse.
adept on that, and I think that's great. Also, I would suggest maybe looking into either LCA evaluation with Tally or looking at how you might earn LEED credits.
Oh yeah, I want to. Let me turn my volume down. I wanted to ask you about Tally because you had sent an email earlier today.
Correct. You having problems, or are you able to obtain it?
No, I didn't know what Tally was. Is that a lead?
In the email I sent you today, I explained what it was. It's an LCA evaluation tool, but it can be used to evaluate your LEED credits for materials. It's in the second link that I sent today. It says from USGBC.
Okay. All right. I'll take a look at it.
And the great part about it is since you're putting the effort into embedding materials into your model, that's the kind of interoperable software that you want because it can extract the information about materials when it runs a simulation. That said, what I would like you to think about is if the materials you're thinking about have sustainable properties, for example, recycled content, etc. You need to know that because Tally will cue you on that. It'll ask you that question. That make sense?
Yep.
Okay. John, you have anything else?
Nope. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Stefan. Cool. Keep on trucking. Thanks, John. Jasmine, Andrew, are you here?
We can go next.
Yes, I am. Did she make it out?
Great. So who's going to screen share? Because I can't see you, Andrew. Looks like Andrew.
I'll try to pull it up right now. See, is that showing up?
Still looking at you on your phone. You're going to screen share on your phone?
No, it's on my iPad, so it should be screen sharing on there. I have the PowerPoint up.
Okay.
See, it says it's connecting.
We're getting a very narrow window viewport on our screen, though.
Yeah, it looks like you're filming something on your iPhone, which is interesting. So that's the way the iPad does the camera then.
Yeah, I guess unless I
That's
flip it
interesting.
horizontal, it's probably.
Yeah,
Unless
she.
Dad's gonna be able to screen share if that's not.
So Desmond has to do this because her computer doesn't have sound, the microphone doesn't pick up. So she opens another session that's on her phone so she can talk.
Just the issue with pressing buttons. I had the same thing earlier.
Really?
That it turns off your microphone on your laptop.
Hi, Mark. This is Nora. If they're not able to load, we can go next.
Okay. We will do that. Wait a minute. No, she just loaded up her presentation.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you. We're sort of on schedule. Desmond, can you speak up?
Hey, okay, I got it.
We're here.
Hey. Can you see it?
Yes, ma'am.
You're kind of echoing.
How about now?
You have the floor.
Okay. Andrew, go first.
Okay, so this is our presentation from last time. We're just adding to it. So if you, I think it was the third slide, Desmond, where we have everything written down.
Oh.
So just kind of,
Yes,
we made a list of everything.
What?
Can you do a full screen?
Yeah, full screen, please.
Without the sidebar.
There we go. Thank you.
Okay, so that's a list of everything that we're trying to get for hopefully this weekend, early next week for you to look at. So we have most of it started already. Things that we're working on are like the mechanical systems, getting all those together for the lab section. And of course, for the other section, of course, the solar control, the R values and calculations. So hopefully we'll have those to show you soon. And let's see, going now to slide 9, I believe. Actually, slide 10, the next one after that. That's looking into the IBC parking code just to make sure that everything meets. And I noticed that there were 2 different charts. Does that one look like the correct chart to be using for this parking place? Because I noticed in the PowerPoint for the IBC code.
Andrew, parking really. Let me try to be really clear about the parking scenario for this building. I hope I've discussed this before, but I'm so old I can't remember what I've said any longer. So you are all required to provide 50 parking places underground within this development. Cannot fit underground. You must find a place for on grade, but serviced off of the alley. That is to say, no curb cuts from Alfred or John R. Period. That's the first thing, right? Have you heard me say that before?
Yeah, we got that.
Okay, second thing is, for the retail spaces that you have or the management office spaces that you might have where someone reports to work in the building, they and any customers using the retail space or the management office space will park on the street. So you don't need to understand what an ordinance says about off-street parking because the parking requirements are set forth in our program. And just like I said, all right?
Okay, I didn't know if you had to.
What is important about parking, though, is that it is a storage occupancy or storage use group in the lower level, and that triggers some that triggers some building code concerns. It also means that you still require 2 means of egress, exit stairs, from the lower level, the parking level. But while you may have 2 elevators in the building, you'll only really be required to have 1 elevator go to the lower level. But you can bring both of them down to the lower level if you desire. There are other requirements about parking that have to do with the dimensional requirements, and Professor Farrow has sent that intelligence and that information onto you in earlier emails. But I think also just from observing, like you have tonight, some of the conversations and some of the drawings with dimensions from your colleagues and from the material I shared with you from last semester, you can tell us, or you should know by now, what a parking space width and length is, what a drive aisle, width is, what the radii are. So that's really the kind of stuff that either appears on your drawing or just becomes part of your design sensibility.
Okay, so this section will be more of a diagrammatic than to show all that.
Mm-hmm. Now we're looking at the
yes, so these were some diagrams of the concrete columns that we're using to figure out what we're doing for the sections. So this is from your system, how do you integrate the connection point into the concrete column to the delta beam system.
Okay, so what does that mean in terms of overall stability for your system, or possibly reducing some moment values?
Let's see, I think it did mention that they had a shear wall system with the delta beam. So I know that, of course, that would come to place and that would help.
Yeah, I would think that you could introduce a shear wall. You just have to figure out where you have continuous vertical shear walls throughout the building that are essentially not, that are consistent on all levels, right?
That's true. Okay.
So I would think that the building, I would think the detail on the left, number one, I would think that's a pin connection. Okay?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Correct, yes.
So it's not a rigid connection. It's not going to provide any stiffness for lateral loads. Anchor bolts. Okay, I'm sorry, number two, I'm having a little. Okay, I see that. That looks like that's a continuous beam, so that would be that could be a case of possibly developing a rigid connection there from what I'm seeing, because it's a continuous beam. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it looks like
that's good for lateral. Okay. That's good for lateral load resistance, and it's also going to reduce the moment values from the gravity loads. Okay.
Okay.
The one on the far right, anchor plates. I'm not exactly sure what that's telling me at the moment, since I'm not sure how that, what the direction of fastening is.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe that's kind of like an element that receives a delta beam, so it doesn't have to penetrate through
it's like a sleeve.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to penetrate through the wall.
It looks like that's a sleeve that's going to come over, connect to the other delta beam, and then with the bottom sleeve portion back to the column. Maybe that's a rigid connection. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So I would think that they would be able to tell you what's classified as rigid or pinned in the literature. That said, you have to ask the question, what do I need and what would I want and why would I need it and want it? So that would mean, look, it's not a bad idea to have continuous beams. It's not a bad idea to have rigid connections, because one, I'm going to reduce the moment values in the columns, or in the beams rather, by about a half. WL over 16 as opposed to WL over 8 roughly, and not 16, WL over 11, WL over 12, and then also because I have now the resistance for lateral loads, that's going to help me with wind loading, right?
That makes sense. Okay.
So if you did that with the large number of your beams in the system, you probably would take care of all your lateral loads. Whether you considered a core for an elevator or stair or not would probably be fine overall, would be my impression of this. The other advantage you have for lateral load stiffness is resistance to overturning by high self-weight. In other words, concrete weighs a lot.
Right.
So
one other option for you two is that, you know, Delta Beam is trying to make some traction, right, into the marketplace. So they have a technical team that you can likely call and have a conversation with one of the technical team members and walk them through what you're trying to design and how you want to deploy their system. They're probably going to be, you know, helpful to you. You have to explain that you're a student, not an architect designing a building, because once you tell them that, they're gonna haunt you, right? They're gonna chase you for a project opportunity. But contact them, right?
Okay, maybe I'll give them a call tomorrow. That would definitely help. Thank you.
and possibly continue to look at their specification packet and information packets, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they did have an installation one and also a technical one also, but they didn't have too much information in those. Maybe they have more in depth when they come in.
The question would be to understand what are the stiffness conditions at connections for me right now. What's the difference between a pin or a semi-rigid or rigid connection and what they have?
And what does that benefit you, right? How does that benefit you as a designer?
Okay.
The slide deck?
Let's see, jumping on to, let's see, we're still working on 12, 13, and 14, which is insulation, vapor barriers, R values. So we'll have those. Hopefully this weekend we can send you those.
We had one. Yeah, we had one in the middle.
I'm just saying that's what this is
built around.
I'm saying, yeah. Then though, if this is
That's
a park,
exactly
if that's
where
if that's a parking deck, can that crane land on that? Will you fall through the deck?
No, we had the crane on the lower level, and they built around that. And
then they put the deck in last and got the crane on.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Then they removed it. It wasn't a big ass crane. Okay. So we're just talking about a crane on the job site here, and how that actually happened in our project for Brush Park.
The answer to that is it appears possible that we could introduce a crane because you've got precast concrete slabs. And as you saw in the photo, that's going to be a crane lift.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So either the crane sits on the road, which blocks traffic for an indefinite amount. They're required to rebuild the road and the curb and sidewalk when they damage it. Or you build the crane within the confines of the job site, in which case what we did is it was built on its own foundation in the basement and erected up vertically from that. And then they built things around it. And when they were ready to install the last piece, they dismantled the crane.
Finish the parking slab.
Oh, I see.
So it's a staging question.
Right.
And it is related to cost as well. Those cranes are a few $100s an hour.
Yeah, those like if this architecture career doesn't work out for me, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a crane operator because those guys make beaucoup bucks. That's French.
For a lot.
Right, Stefan? Our
Is
Canadian
that something
contingents.
you should look into for the
I speak French. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Fajer knows French. Of course he does. Okay, can you go back to the full screen? Thank you.
So we upgraded the ground level a little. Now there's no parking on it because it's all underneath.
Yep.
And we added the room titles and the exercise room down here. So we're going to switch that from the residential levels.
Okay, let me walk you through a couple of doors here. I'm not sure where the front doors are.
Right here. And then there's the back one.
Okay, so there's an airlock, right, or a vestibule for the so-called front door. The interior wall of doors is swinging correctly, Jasmine, but the exterior, most doors, that has to swing in the same direction. So opposite of what you've illustrated. Do you follow?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in the same vein, you need to show, so you've got a really big room called vestibule. I'm not sure what that is, but like.
What is the first room when you come in? Like a lobby space, reception space?
Yeah,
To the
like
right.
lobby reception area.
But aren't we looking at couches south of the stair at A, column A?
Reception desk or something. What's going on? Yeah, it looks like your reception entry lobby is to the left, but it's really now to the right, is it not?
I'm a little confused. What is that? What do you intend in the vestibule? What you call the vestibule? Why isn't there retail there?
Well, just because there was this small area to go in from. I guess we can switch it though and make this more retail, and then just make that kind of a hallway, or make the bike place smaller.
Leave the entry where it was.
Yeah, I feel like the entry should be near B. Yeah, right. That's where that big area is. That's you're connecting the back doors. You've got a vestibule that you've called. You've got an airlock that we just talked about fixing the doors for as the front door. I think that's actually just a door that gets you to the. Yeah, I know. I'm going to get into that, but I just feel like you have to get us out onto the street. So I have a whole bunch of little things. So can we go back to the plan? You need to have an airlock at column B that lets us come in from the street into your development, into this salon, this living room, this lobby, right? And then the other airlock that you do show, which needs the doors corrected, is really to the back garden or the development's sort of more private realm, correct? Capiche?
Capiche.
Yeah, the courtyard. Capiche? Hello? Yes?
Yes, the courtyard.
Yes.
Okay. Now, retail, as I've said before, I don't know why we keep having to revisit this. Retail needs to go on the hard corner. Do you know what I mean by hard corner? It's Main Street and Main Street. Yeah, yeah. Like if you're a nail salon or a hair salon, right? Or if you're a Hallmark store, you want to be at Main and Main. And so the retail needs to be there. And I just want to mention, that it doesn't concern me so much that you don't have retail indicated there. What concerns me about this drawing, you guys, is that you're showing the word vestibule, and I have no idea what that is for. That is a huge space that I can't even imagine how it functions. So that to me is problematic. But if it was a vestibule, the doors for the vestibule need to swing out as well. Okay? You have to swing the doors in the direction that you are moving. If you have a retail store, you have to have doors on the storefront facade that swing out, and the doors or door that goes to the rear service corridor, those doors need to swing out as well. Do you follow what I just said? Because I'm going to go really deep now. So before we go forward, I want to make sure you understand what I just said. Doors swing in the direction of egress. Retail spaces need doors that swing out. whether it's on the street front or to the service corridor. Capiche?
Okay, and the facade as well.
Okay, ready? So fasten your seatbelts. The doors that swing out onto the street cannot swing over the property line. If I'm a blind old fart walking along with my leader dog and Desmond's walking out the door looking at her nails and talking on her phone, that door is going to hit me right in the face. Do you follow what I just imagined?
Yes.
So that retail store door needs to be set back in about 4 feet. So if you look at any of the floor plans from last semester's work as an example, you'll see what I mean. Period. Similarly, the doors that you've indicated, which are swinging in the wrong direction, they have to swing in the opposite direction. They cannot swing into the corridor the way that you would be imagining it, because they will throttle down, right? They will restrict the design width, the egress width that is required there. So they get set in as well. And you'll see that on the examples from last semester, and you'll see that indicated on anyone else's work that you're going to have in your class. Also, we've talked about this before, right? I'm still not seeing the doors swinging correctly at the 2 stairways, you guys. And so here's where the knife goes in. This is going to hurt. Will you change these goddamn doorways on the stairways so they swing in the direction of egress and that they go to the public way? I've said this about 5 times now. I'm getting impatient with this. The reason I'm impatient now is because these are the exit stairs. These have to function. We can like learn about how to swing doors so they don't open into the property line. We can talk about that. That's a good question. There's a lot of interesting sort of discussions about that. The code has changed over the years. I can move past that discussion, but I can't let you move forward when the doors in exit stairs, A, aren't shown, B, when they're shown, they're not shown in the right direction, and C, most importantly, they don't get me to the sidewalk. They don't get me to the alley. Why am I not getting what I'm asking for? So that's going to hurt. So I want that corrected tonight, and I want to see it tomorrow. Okay?
Okay.
Please look at the other work. This is not rocket science. You know what? I feel like you guys are like designing without looking at anything your classmates are doing, without looking at the examples I've given you. I want you to look at their work. I want you to be inspired by what your classmates have done, what your previous classmates have done. They can teach you, right?
Definitely.
Remember my Austin Kleon lecture at the beginning of the semester? Steal like an artist, right? I remember giving it, right? I'm talking to Hung because he's in the room here. He remembers it. You have to look at what other artists have done. You have an obligation to do that, all right? So here's the parking stuff, right? These are the guidelines. I'm not sure why we're looking at these things, Andrew and Desmond, in the order they're in, but this is kind of the stuff we were talking about. I don't necessarily want to see this slide right in the slide deck because, you know, it's kind of a known thing. But yeah, right? These are the drive aisle dimensions when you have angled parking. These are the radius dimensions for, 180 degree, changes in direction. You've highlighted the dimensions that you need. That's all good. But like, you know, we need to keep moving into the sort of pulp of the project, right? Okay, now we're looking at your parking. You've got the spaces numbered. I'm seeing 50. Praise the Lord. You've got a door going into the underground level of the alley, so that's wrong, right? The door into the stairway from the lower level is correct, but you're also showing a door going from the alley into the stairway. That's not possible, correct? You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
on the floor above
So-
that one. Yeah.
So like, I know I sound like a raving lunatic about this, because I'm sure both of you are sitting there like looking at each other going, why is he blowing a gasket over this? Ladies and gentlemen, I have to know before I pass you that you understand these very simple egress scenarios. I have to believe, guys, that you deck and used a stairway there. The next, go to one tonight. Go to one tomorrow morning and park your car, use the stairway, and when you grab the door handle, like, notice what's happening there, and you will think back to what we're saying right now, and you will never forget it, right? I need you to know this stuff, because this is what we call life safety, right? If you don't get this right, and it got built somehow, like if you're building in some third or fourth world country, right? And it gets built this way, people will fry. They'll die. So that's kind of bad, right? You have an obligation, right, to protect the life and, health, safety, and welfare of all of ours. So one of the things that we look at right out of the gate are the stairways. The stairways have got to be dead nuts accurate. We've talked about these ever since, I'm afraid, benchmark 2, maybe benchmark 1. Areas of refuge. Okay, so we've got 50 spaces. I'm seeing columns held back from the paint stripes. Praise the Lord. Spaces, I'm seeing angled. I see 24 feet. I say 32 feet. It's a lot of space. Might be a little tight here. I think it's forgivable.
You show that radius. If you're showing that to them 3 times, I don't know why they don't. I think it's right.
Yeah. So spaces 35 through 42 and 43 through 50 could slide south a little bit. I know you've got a column there. Uh-oh. You okay? Is that your computer? Yikes.
Column, I don't think slide it down. It won't help.
Yeah, it's not going to help anything. Never mind. I was going to try and open up that 18'4" into like 20 feet. But you've got that column 2 there.
Yeah, I think we moved as much as we could with the floor above so far.
Also, I might try to put the doors of the vestibule for the elevator from or on the wall, on the north-south walls, so that they sit where the no-fly zone is for the barrier-free spaces.
Okay, and then you don't walk into oncoming traffic, of course.
I don't. It's not
Could be a sliding door.
It's not an egress.
I might actually suggest, given the tightness of that 18'4", and you could reduce that dimension. What is the dimension from the elevator face to the door itself? Yeah.
6 feet.
10 feet.
Pull it back.
You could pull it back so it's flush with the parking spaces.
2 feet more.
Yeah.
Don't
You
we
follow?
need space in front of the elevator for services?
You do, but I don't know how much you need. So 10 feet sounds really generous. Most lobbies are only 6 feet.
Okay.
What are these sort of rectangles in the middle of the drive aisle? These lightly shaded rectangles with the soft radiuses on the corners. What do those mean? There's 6 of them. Are they something in the ceiling?
So it'll be for
Gotcha.
a reflected floor plan that we'll be doing for the ventilation
Gotcha.
systems.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So fix the door at the south stair that's on the alley. There is no door there. But there is a door that swings out into the alley from that same stairway, yet on the ground floor.
Correct.
So I think your stuff may be, you have to be meticulous about this stuff. Also, your ramp needs to be shown like a stairway that gets a cut, right?
Correct. The solid thick line around it.
You do it at an angle with a little squiggle in it to show that it's sailing up past the cut line that makes the floor plan appear in the drawing. And then I'll understand that the shaded area under the ramp there, that's actually usable space for other program, like storage or whatnot. You understand what I'm saying?
Correct, yes.
At the high end of the ramp, near the alley, there's the capacity for that space to have rooms.
Okay.
Do you follow that? You follow why I say that?
Definitely, it's a lot of open space. So we'll add a door in that column area that's blocked off right now with that parking spot.
Yeah, you can put a door down there by space 28 and 29 on
Correct.
the ramp wall and get into a big storage room down there.
Okay, we'll add that on there.
Thanks. Let's go to a residential floor. Did you have something else you wanted to?
Can you go back to grade for a minute?
Yeah, the ground floor. Thank you.
So, bike storage here. Does that need to be?
The bike storage. So my immediate reaction now, and every time I've looked at this plan is that, and I don't want to make this change now, but I've always been concerned about how big this footprint is. You know, and it's clear to me that you're not in control of the program on the first floor because you got bike storage on the street, you've got a vestibule that's on both streets at Main and Main, and no one knows what's happening in the vestibule. No one in my room here, and no one in your house or your shop. Right? You've got 3 small retail spaces. You got a mechanical room on the street. That's like a pimple on a prom date. No one wants to see that. You know what I'm saying? Like suddenly, like I could see where maybe bike storage is kind of like a groovy thing on the street. I guess might have to be convinced of that by looking at your elevations. But I don't want to see a mechanical room on the street. The street is like a coat and tie opportunity, right, for engaging passersby. Think about this, an urban solution, right?
Even the exercise room.
You know what I'm saying? Mechanical rooms are always like inboard, like the exercise room. Like, you know, I'm looking at Hung over here or Caitlin. I want to see them spinning. You know, these millennials working out, spinning and riding the bike and doing jumping jacks and their what do they call that stuff? They're not Patagonia. In their Lululemon. Right. Thank you, Nora. I want to see them in their Lululemon working out, right? That's the kind of stuff that I could almost imagine. Of course, it wouldn't be Hung and it wouldn't be Caitlin because they're not old enough to live in this building. So it's going to be me wearing Lululemon, working out.
Dear God.
That's the street.
With earbuds.
Meter room 2. These guys, think about this. These are these spaces that are like that you're just throwing down and not, these are like navels and armpits and you know what I mean? They're like stuff in between your toes. You don't want to see that stuff, right? You got to have it. You got to have it, right? But it doesn't have to be the thing we see on the street. So maybe be more scrupulous and careful, right, about these buildings. I told you from the very beginning that these were tough buildings, and clearly I think you've experienced that. But like they're not impossible, because if you think about those early conversations that we had about thinking about how facades can be ranked with a letter grade, like Alfred and John R., those are A-grade facades. If you don't know what I mean by that, then just tell me. But like that means to me that that's where the balconies go for the residential units, right? That means that those are the high rent units. Similarly, on the ground floor, that's where lobbies are. That's where retail is. That's where exercise rooms are. That's where the offices for renting one of the units here, which you don't even have in this building. If I show up and Dasman is the leasing agent, where does Dasman sit? And if Andrew's like the building maintenance guy, because he's just this wonderful finished carpenter, and where's his shop? Where's his office? So like I feel like the program has just been lost by you guys, and you've thrown program down that doesn't relate to anything except you got to fill up this big L-shaped footprint, and you've kind of disregarded all these conversations that we've had up to now. Is that a security? Yeah, that's another point.
Tonight, and we'll email those to you by the morning.
And then what's happening in loading? What's going on there? Where? Hello? Anybody can answer. You've got 2 vehicles shown in a room. Is there an overhead door there? What's going on?
Yeah, just showing.
But you made the 50 car count down below. Why are they there?
Yeah, well, there was no requirement to put vehicles on. Think about this for a minute, right? Think about this for a minute. You've got an alley, right? Did you forget about that? So like, let's say there was a requirement for loading in this building, right? Let's say that room has some merit. First of all, the doors for that room that you've shown have to swing out in the direction of egress. One door is correct, but the others aren't. Second, you've got an overhead door that services that loading space, that interior parking space, which means that there's got to be concrete in front of the door, right? When, yeah, it could be like you could create a microclimate of like hardscape and softscape and water and benches and umbrellas. If that room had to be in the program, put the overhead door on the south wall off of the alley and minimize the footprint of parking and drive aisles, right? So it's like, you're not even thinking that through. So please look at the building program that I gave you, I'm pretty sure in January, and take it apart. Write or highlight each program space that goes on the lower level, that goes on the first floor, that goes on the upper floors, and make sure they're there. And don't I will say this even more precisely. Do not put program into the building that we didn't ask for, because you're just making it harder on yourself. This is what I've been saying to you guys since, gosh, when did we sit down? We sat down in February here, Desmond, Andrew, when we sketched all this out together. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Oh, good grief. You're making this so hard on yourselves. Refuse. Trash wants to be on the alley. Remember when I explained how content in the building that's kind of back of house, the armpit stuff, right? Meter rooms, mechanical, electrical rooms, right? All of those sort of nasty ass kinds of back of house spaces. That stuff kind of wants to like when you put a lot of groceries in a bag, the heavy stuff like the canned goods, you don't put those on top, right? Because those are going to make their way to the bottom of the bag. So you, as a planner, as a bagger, you put those at the bottom of the bag. So too do your back of house spaces. You plan to put those heavy cans of Campbell's soup down at the alley, so that they don't break the other things and upset the other things in the bag, in the grocery bag, but also so that when the trash truck comes and she pulls the truck into the alley, she doesn't have to pull into the development to pull the trash cans out of the building up near column line 1, 2, 3, 4. Because it's right where you said loading. Let's go upstairs. I want to see where that trash is upstairs. So where is the trash chute upstairs?
I haven't put in a chute.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch you.
Didn't put one in.
Well, you need one, right? How's the trash getting? I know how the trash gets out of my apartment. I'm gonna probably get a little cart, or I'm gonna, because I ain't gonna carry it. So, right. So I'm gonna take it out of my apartment and I'm gonna take it down the hall, right? I need a trash room, correct? What were you anticipating?
I think we can make room inside of right by the elevator. I think we had an open room that had space. Let's see.
Can you circle it? Yeah. So, but Andrew, what did I just say about Campbell's soup and the grocery bag?
That's true. Yeah.
Right. Like I want these lights to go off. I want you to connect these things, right? So right now, assuming the trash room has to stay where you got it, because it is April 5th. The trash room's got to be where? Above the trash room, right? The trash room for this floor and all the floors above needs to be just like an elevator, just like a stairway, just like a column, in vertical alignment, right? So that if I'm on the 4th floor and I go into that trash room, I open that little trash door and I drop my bag of stuff down there. It makes its way down the chute to the trash room. So your trash room needs to be in or near unit column 4 along the west wall, or you got to find a way to get it near the stairway down there. It just needs to be where, I mean, I think you have to keep it where it is because we're so late in the semester, but that's where it needs to go. But I got to tell you, Desmond, I got to tell you, Andrew, if we were working together in an office, I would be blowing a gasket right now. This plan is also showing parking, right? You see that?
Yes.
This plan is also showing parking, so that's not correct, right? Because that's gone. Correct?
Yeah, we'll
Correct.
update it.
Yeah, that's all the alley, the open landscape.
Can you zoom in on this plan now? Have we fixed the number of exercise rooms? Because you have one on the ground floor now, and you had 4 before. So is that been fixed? Hello?
I think that's on another slide. Let me see. I think slide 19 is updated one with exercise rooms.
Yeah, I'm having trouble comprehending what you're saying. Is that plan typical of all floors? Andrew, Desmond?
Yeah.
So that means that we've got 5 exercise rooms?
No, we just need to update it on the slide.
Pardon me?
No, we just need to update it.
Okay, look, I mean, really, guys, I'm really concerned. You guys have got to button up the design of this building now, because you have so much more to do as it relates to options and as it relates to the last assignment. So you guys are both on notice. I'm going to do anything I need to make you get this wrapped up by Friday. I want to see a deliverable from you that puts all of the stuff in a correct state, because I can't let you advance unless I see these things fixed. I'm now looking at the reflected ceiling plan and I'm freaking out. You know why I'm freaking out? I'm freaking out because I'm seeing, I believe, 2 foot by 2 foot ceiling tiles. I'm sitting in a classroom here, Andrew and Jasmine, and I'm looking up at the ceiling in the classroom I'm in, and it's the same ceiling. It's the same ceiling tiles. It's the same light fixtures. And I'm horrified. I'm horrified about the room I'm in, and I'm horrified more so that you're proposing that in this residential building. You know, think about this for a second. I've said this before. You're doing the delta beams with precast, right? That's your structural deck. You showed us pictures of those strapping young men lifting those precast slabs into place, sitting them into the delta beams. Concrete's a beautiful thing. You know, you've heard me talk earlier this semester about something I like to call sophisticated frugality, right? Well, I don't know if you know what frugal means, but it means like spend your money smartly. So if you're going to do the precast floor, right, let that be the floor. Throw some rugs on it, but don't put anything else on it. And conversely, if you're going to do a precast floor, that's also the ceiling, right, for the unit below.
Okay.
Now, it may not be an elegant ceiling, so you got to make sure that you plan things like and compose things like light fixtures, mechanical ducts, sprinkler systems, and all of those good, important things. But you know, these could be kind of interesting lofts. And I guess I had this hunch, right? Or this notion that you were doing this kind of structural deck because it would benefit you in the conversation about sophisticated frugality. So you've got this, so here's what you've got. You've got this potentially sophisticated frugality deck scenario, and then you're dropping in a suspended acoustical ceiling tile in 2x2s with 2x2 light fixtures. So again, I'm like, I don't think you guys are cognizant of the things that you're drawing. You're just drawing. And that's not what this class is about. This class is asking you to put something together, to knit it, to build it, not to just copy and paste. Think about what you're drawing, please. So, the fridge and get a beer. Can you, I'll give you to Saturday because I realize today's Thursday. I forgot what day of the week it is. I have no concept of time right now. Nor did Lou Kahn, by the way. I honestly, folks, Desmond, Andrew, you've got to put everything into this right now. You've got to button this design up. Otherwise, I cannot let you advance.
Definitely will have that.
Are you both hearing what I'm saying?
Yes.
And Desmond?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. I can be on campus if you need to meet. I can be available for a hangout over the weekend or more. I can email. I can red mark things the way I do in the office. But I need you to engage. Okay? I'm sorry that this was uncomfortable and that it was public, but this is one of the downsides of an online environment. The magic pad. Okay, I'm gonna release you now.
You further. If you have time on Saturday to do a hangout once we have some revisions tomorrow, that would be great. Or you can just email back and forth.
Well, I work tomorrow, so it has to be in the evening or on the weekend.
Okay, sometime Saturday. Whatever's best for you.
You just send me the times that you want to meet, okay?
Okay, I'll email you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, Nora? Nora, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hi, Nora.
Hi. I'm gonna go ahead and share. I'm sorry?
I heard your mayor today.
You heard, I'm sorry, my what?
Your mayor.
Oh, you did?
Yes, ma'am. On National Public Radio.
Really? That's interesting. Yeah. All the way to Michigan, you heard him?
Well, National Public Radio.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's my bad. Let me go ahead and. Yeah, what we're doing is let me go back. We wanted to show kind of what we have for our lab, so we can have some feedback and improve whatever we've done. So we can improve for the final. So if we can just skim through it real quick, or you rather us just go through? Okay.
It's your conversation.
So for the bioclimatic, I was able to log in and get a software for that daylighting from the university. I can't remember what university it was. And they gave me these graphs. I can input numbers. I'm not sure where I'm supposed to get these numbers from. So I kind of wanted to see if you can guide me on that portion. Is it more just the climate zone that we have in Michigan that we would put those? I'm not sure I understand much of it. So I was going to see if I could get some feedback on that.
You may need to zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's move the screen to the right, zoom even more. And zoom in more, sorry. Okay, what numbers are they asking for?
Well, it's asking for the input angle and the output, the pretty much, I guess, for the, and it's asking us to load a matrix. So do I need to create whatever I get from the, whatever we get from the Revit, we upload into that? Or I'm not sure if it's like if it's a document like Excel, or if it's more of a file itself, and then it does the numbering for us.
Why don't we handle that?
Sorry, you cut off.
I said, why don't we just handle that with another email exchange so I can look at it further, okay?
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that. Let me zoom out then. And then, well, I did it too much. I did the chart and I updated that on the chart. I did the hours, I provided the hours. So I can do that in an email exchange as well, just to make sure that I'm in the right track. But I just want to let you know that
okay.
It's still a little confusing to me, but it's a little bit more.
We'll exchange email.
Okay. And I also did a calculation of the glazing, and I did a modification to the surface of volume, and all of those that were.
Can we see it with?
Can you zoom in?
And get rid of all the highlighting? Everything's highlighted, I can't read it.
Yeah, why is all the text got a pink box around it?
You know what? It's a setting that it already came. I do not know how to take it off from. What's that?
Say that again. I see.
But if they try to present it in the final presentation.
So if you have it on your font, it'll get rid of the highlights. It'll show the font like it's.
Yeah.
Click the print overview button.
Print overview. Where would that be? Is it
in the view tab?
Oh, okay, great.
We're all set.
Oh, what a great country.
Sorry about that. So,
Let me close this, please.
Orange will never print on her.
Yeah, the orange might not print as dark as you guys think it will. So make sure you do a test print of the, because this is the live file. And so I want you to create a PDF of these sheets so that it's as legible as it needs to be, because you guys are from out of town. You're from out of town. So you
Right.
have to present online.
right, okay, I'll make it black. It's easier to understand in black. I'll change the font.
You guys do need to do quite a bit of running spell check.
Yeah, they've
Okay.
been put on notice about that as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Got a lot. There's a lot of typos in spell check.
Okay.
So my question about this would be, okay, I see your calculation. It looks reasonable for surface area to volume, but what is the recommended ideal for a U-shaped building in a temperate climate, or the one that was in our textbook?
It
You
was-
understand what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
You have to
Okay,
compare it to the ideal to know how far off you are, right?
right.
Okay. Percent glazing, you're at less than 48%, right?
Yes.
40%, good. So you're under the ASHRAE recommended, you're below ASHRAE. That's a good property.
Okay. So I'll review this again and make sure that it's compliant with that ratio that is provided.
Well, it says floor plan ratio, the ideal ratio to length should be, sorry, I can't see, like 1 to 1.3 or something.
It's well, it goes by.
No, on to the left side. Go to the left column.
Oh, this one.
Floor plan ratio.
It's
the
1
ideal
point-
floor plan ratio. Above that, above it says 1 to 1.3. Is that right?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So then what is your floor plan ratio? If that's the ideal, what's yours?
It's the 1.28.
So you want to indicate you're very close to that, right?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? You've got data, but you have to tell us what it means, right? So I'm below the 40% glazing. Good. I'm doing well. I'm half of what Ashway recommends as the maximum desirable. I'm very close to the footprint ratio or the footprint ratio, right? Good. That's a good property.
So you want to show, you want to demonstrate your successes, or the differences.
Or at least be objective about it, but you need to analyze it and say, I'm close, I'm better than, oh, and maybe I'm not as, this is how far off I am as a percentage from the ideal, right?
Right.
In other words, here, at the end of the day, here's what I have to know that you can carry forward in part, that you understand what bioclimatic analysis procedures and methods are in architecture, and you know how to start that and begin that and be credible in the work that you might do in the future, in the event that you're working with architects who see that as a measurable, important attribute. And if you're working with firms that want to be do lead type projects, these are some of the issues you're going to have to grasp.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, just one thing. I was just talking to your classmates here, and if you click on edit, and then go to spelling, and then turn on dynamic, right? That will highlight all of your, well, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, no.
Wait, what?
Like occupied is spelled wrong, outside is spelled wrong.
Occupied.
It may be because they're all caps.
Oh.
But you can probably take that into Microsoft Word and run a spell check that way, and it may recognize it better. You just copy all the text over.
Nathan, that was my suggestion. I said that to Caitlin, and she just rolled her eyes. She said that is so old school. So you and I must be,
What do these millennials know?
But really, I think that's a good idea. That's sort of like that discussion we had the other night with Trevor and Alec about doing things digital and doing things analog, right? You've been told before, you guys, that you have spelling issues. I said that early on. And so what you need to do is find a way to highlight spelling or all of your text in such a way that you can see where it's spelled wrong. I spelled things wrong. So I have to be vigilant about that. So copy and paste all of this text into a Word document that will emphasize those spelling errors and fix them, and then replace the text.
I mean, a lot of people that, like you folks, are very visually acute, right? You understand spatial concepts and objects, but some of us are not as adept at things like spelling, for example, and I'm one of them too. But I can tell you this: if you expect to be in a firm and you're going to be put in front of a client to show something, you have to fix this. Otherwise, you'll never get that opportunity.
Martin Schwartz will drop you a whole grade, by the way. Be glad that he's not talking to you today, right? You know Martin? Yeah, he'll drop you, won't he? So you need to fix those things. If you need me to look at anything, if you need me to take a red pen, I'll highlight them. No, it's not sad. It's the first thing I noticed, Casey. You just geek out on words, that's all. Okay, go ahead, Nora. Or whoever's going to talk.
Oh no! Wait, can we have one? Oh God. Somebody. How can you just go next to Mark?
Can you come up?
Turn your
volume off?
Yeah. Turn it off. Yeah, turn it off, please.
Thanks, Caitlin. So you can sit here. Are you running the slide deck?
No, Nora is.
Nora is she talking? I don't hear her talking.
She can mute it.
Well, one of you guys need to talk.
Nora, you unmuted.
Nora, are you going to talk?
The next portion is structural, so let me go ahead and go to it, and I will let the person involved with structure.
We missed the other slides. If you were talking, we didn't hear you.
I just on the core and service, we condensed. We had a lot of diagrams, so we pretty much just put the 3D with the floor plan there. We haven't done much update. It didn't. I don't know if it requires update. We just kind of added that information together. The same thing for the programming, and
Yeah, that programming for a minute.
yes.
There's a lot of information of telescopic view of the plan, but it's not easy to read.
Nora, I thought you guys were gonna like not do those so much.
We have like
We only have 2 or 3.
condensed.
But you know, these two are right next to each other, making them both very difficult to read. If you're going to do them, you might only want to do one per page.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Right.
because we had them like that, one per page, and we thought we had too many diagrams, so we ended up putting them in.
I would say the middle sort of telescopic view with all the spaces on it is not legible.
This one.
Yes, I will be honest with you. I don't think that, well, a layperson would not understand
Yeah,
that.
it's such an unusual view of a building, Nora, that no one will understand that it's the building stacking. It's easier to understand the stacking of the floor plan in the left drawing, but the left drawing eclipses some of those programs. I understand that.
Yeah.
You have to find a way to make it work with one.
For now, I'm gonna go ahead and move it out.
What?
Let's just rip it off the sheet. Okay, well, whatever.
I think it works.
Wait, so Nora, just to make sure, is this the lab file or is this like the studio file?
No, this is lab.
Okay. Well, I would say we should definitely change this information because we already selected these. So actually, let me share my screen. Or can you go to the next slide? Let me see what that looks like.
I just share my own.
Oh, wait, we actually coordinated.
Okay, yeah, I'll share my screen.
Okay, hold on a second.
I got to reveal the participants again.
Yeah.
Okay, Badger, we're looking.
Okay, yeah, it's just like most of those files were updated, and so well, for the most part, I have the like frames depending on the different levels. So when they alternate, so this is the ground floor, this is the parking floor.
Can I make a
this
quick
is-
suggestion?
Sorry,
That's the ground floor right there.
this is the second floor.
Is it possible to put in like a grayscale, the actual architectural spaces underneath that structure so we could kind of see them?
The plan, but like lightly
Oh.
shown, just so
I see
that
what
it
you
can reference.
So we know where spaces are falling out relative to that?
Okay.
I think this is from the structure plan.
Yeah, I can add those.
Show
Okay.
Legend on the left.
Okay, thank you.
The legend could be smaller.
But yeah, so but in
Also,
general,
anything that you show me with structure has to be dimensioned.
Oh, so I have to add dimensions as well.
Oh, yeah, because I'm asking questions about spans and issues like that, okay?
Right.
I have to know what spans are, for example. I can't do that without a dimension.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I'll add dimensions for sure. But let me see. No. So that's a typical floor from floor 3 to 5. So it just shows the different configurations of the frame, depending on how much is needed.
I understand. Again, I would suggest if you can do an imprint of the floor plan underneath it,
right,
like in a light gray, like halftone, then we
Mhm.
can look to see how that corresponds to space.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. And then same thing. That's the roof level. Also
So
have
can I ask
this.
a quick question?
Yeah.
Can you go back one? I go back to the plan again. Now, I know that those beams have that sort of angle condition that's up around, I don't know, that one there. I thought that those went back to being straight when they got to the typical floor plates. Is that right? Wrong?
No, they never go back to a
Go
regular.
back to straight. Okay.
Yeah, they never go straight. Yeah. But then I have these for the stairs. So they just show how the structure for the stairs is slightly different. There are different members in there. It's not delta beams, of course, and how the fire protection runs all the way down, and it kind of like doesn't kick in here because of the necessary space needed because of the higher ceiling space.
But
Yeah.
do you have headroom? Because I see that the floor above it's kind of imploding on that landing.
You're saying
Right
right
there.
here.
Yeah, I'm walking down the stairs and there's a floor hitting me about the size of about my chest.
You need to cut another section.
Yeah, I have to look
There.
at that. I definitely have to look at that.
You got to cut out the floor if you can, but even if you did, the beam is still hitting me in the chest. You understand my point?
Right. Well, will there? Oh yeah, the beam will be there, right? I'll
Yeah,
have to
the beam
revise
is still
that for
there.
sure.
See if we can do that, please.
Yeah, I'll have to revise that. Then here, just talking more about the way we're gonna have the delta beams come together. So at the base, when it comes to the foundation pillar to the actual hollow beam, there's this condition where they have an anchor plate that attaches to the hollow steel column with the concrete, and that fastens to the pillar through with bolts, and then when it comes to the beams attaching to the column, the beams are going to be bolted and welded to the column so they can create a rigid connection and withstand the lateral loads.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was looking for an image of a delta beam being bolted, and I couldn't find one, so I just drew one. Yeah. What?
I'm smiling out loud, that's all. Could
Yeah,
you
I know.
Could you contact the manufacturer?
No, but I just kept looking through all of their through their website. So
You could.
I could.
You should contact them.
I should. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. And then what is that? Yeah, so this is just a section of the entire.
Quick question.
Yeah.
You're titling this occupancy types, but that's not really what this is about, is it?
No, I want to change that, but I just didn't get to change it yet.
Just click
Yeah.
this ad.
Yeah. But yeah, that's just like a section of the overall building, so showing how you have the pillars at the bottom, the regular columns going through past that, and then you have the beams in blue.
Yeah, it's still
also,
unfortunately that one the second column from the left
Yeah.
doesn't register over the beams don't register over the columns again.
that's the bent one.
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, never mind. Never mind.
Yeah.
I understand.
Should I like put a note on it to explain? or?
It's a yeah. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly how to do it, but it would have. It might be useful to have a note saying beam realigns with column and distance or something beyond. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I remember we talked about it. It came up again, I guess. So probably should take a note. Sorry.
Keep going.
Okay. Yeah, and then here just shows our different types of beams. So we have the regular beam, and I was thinking so I saw a condition on the Delta Beam website where they would actually bend these little winglets so that they could fit into the column. But I was also considering having those winglets connect, like when they overlap, have them be welded or bolted so that they could create an extra rigidity to it. I don't know how you feel about that.
I'm not sure what that would mean. Can you go up and to the left of your drawing right now to the balcony?
Right here.
Okay, so the balcony is cantilevered, correct?
Yeah.
The balcony is cantilevered, correct?
Yes.
So you're going to have a very rigid connection at that balcony back to that beam to make that work.
Yeah.
You understand that?
Yes. I looked into it. I looked into how Delta Beams address cantilevered situations, and they take that into consideration with their connections. So like all of their connections in general. So I'm taking
that can be a rigid.
That can be a rigid. It didn't specify whether it had to be a rigid connection or not because they still had the same specifications regarding those pin connections with concrete columns.
It has to be a rigid connection going to the left, otherwise the cantilever doesn't work.
So you're saying it has to? Okay. Well, yeah, I made sure that all of the connections are rigid the way we're attaching them. Should I zoom out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Here just shows how the concrete is poured and how the rebar is embedded through the what is it called? The Delta Beam, and then continues on to the next pour that comes beyond it. And here's just like a small diagram showing how the headspace is being cleared thanks to that system.
Yeah. Why it's shallower.
Yeah. And I guess like that kind of I was wondering, does that help with the rigidity in terms of lateral load because the slab is embedded in the beam?
It gives it does give a more direct load transfer to what are called the boundary chords and strut members when you have a lateral load going through the diaphragm.
Mm-hmm.
So my answer to that would be I theoretically say yes, it should be.
Okay.
Because the boundary element, the chord and strut, is aligned with the diaphragm rather than being below it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, that was one of my assumptions, but I wasn't sure, so I was going to ask you. Yeah. And this is the same one. Where is? I was also. This is. Should we finish the lab, then probably ask further questions that we have, or should we just ask them now?
If they're short questions or there's something I don't have to research for you, I can ask. You can take it now.
Well, it's something that you addressed about the parking ventilation during our presentation for Benchmark 2. So we've decided to go with jet fans, and I remember I came across jet vents, which had much more detail in terms of how they operate, how much thrust they have, and how they are put in the parking system. But I realized that they are based in Ireland, so I assume we cannot use that kind of system.
I don't know.
I mean, I would think they have a U.S. distributor, right?
Well, I was looking for one, and I couldn't really come across one.
And I'd say that would be hard to obtain.
Okay, so I figured I might. There are also like jet fans, which are used in the US. So I figured I could just go with those instead.
Do you have any openings through the courtyard that let air into the lower level parking right now?
Besides the ramp?
Beside the ramp?
The only two openings are that ramp right here and the exhaust air right here.
Gotcha.
Okay. Well, again, if you could cut openings in the slab, you know, that would be another way to let air in.
Your details.
So probably in this area right here, like where there's open space on the ground floor.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's open, but you know, also, you know, yeah, I guess I would say that this system, you're not using hollow core slabs, right? You're using a cast in place slab. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So you would have you'd have a little more flexibility with that maybe than a cast in place system, because you have to know where you can cut the opening.
Mm-hmm.
In yours, I think you would box them out so that they're creating a void in the slab when they pour it, right?
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah. And
So
it could just like,
actually in a structure plan, you know, you would say this is a, you know, you want to know that that's a void.
Right.
Right? Because they have to box that out when they pour it. They have to run the rebars around it.
Right. So just
if you could put 2 or 4 sort of like vent ports vertically, that could be helpful.
Okay. Yeah. Totally. I'll definitely try to implement them, especially like in the back alley area would be ideal,
Sure.
especially where like the vents are thrusting this way, like downwards. Probably having them in this area would be ideal.
Okay.
Okay. And I guess we can move on. I probably have another question which might be longer, but we can move on with this lab section and then come back. Nora, do you have the presentation, the Hong section?
Yeah.
I'll share mine.
Okay.
Or do you have it?
I got it. I'll already share mine.
Okay.
So we gotta go to Hong.
Okay, so this actually. So this is the HVAC floor plan for the typical first floor, and the residential. But let me talk about the system first. We're using the VRF system for the HVAC, since it can save energy by consume what needs to be used in rollout, and put it on the roof before then run a main duct to the down below through this.
Right, but those the outboard units for the VRF, can't they also be on grade?
Yeah, they can be.
But since you're close to the first floor, maybe you want to think about that.
Because we have all the PV panels and also heaters on the roof, so it's everything might as well.
Electricity all is going to go through the electric panel, no matter where the system is. Does that make sense? It's always going to go reroute it down. So proximity is the issue like that. So you had solar panels. What type of hot water panels?
Yeah.
Collect hot water.
Yeah, not collect hot water, but using solar panel to heat water.
Okay, and so then we're going to bring it down to it.
Yeah, so we get the cold water, bring it up there, heat it through the panels.
No, what you do is, what you do is you recirculate the water in the hot water system.
Yeah.
And it goes into a heat exchanger, or it goes into the tank you're going to be using for hot water, and then it just cycles back and forth. You don't bring the cold water from the ground anywhere,
Oh,
except to bring it into the building as hot water or cold water. Does that make sense?
okay. So the rainwater got collected to
You're also collecting rain.
the rainwater tank using that. Plus, we also got gray water recycle.
Down in those, somewhere either on the parking level or in the first
Yeah,
floor
I
level,
was
I'm
thinking-
going to be looking at tanks like cisterns and things.
I was thinking drop it underground.
Underground for the rainwater?
Underground for both.
What about under the
Not
ramp?
for the hot water tank isn't gonna go, well, underground you mean in parking?
Yeah, underground in parking for the tank. The rainwater tank, the rain to be exposed can be
I guess
underwater.
in theory,
Yeah,
it's underground, but you never gain access to it. I mean, these things are usually, you know, fiberglass tanks or something.
Stormwater we're putting beneath slabs. Now, there's actually a huge stormwater program in the city of Detroit that has kicked in, and it's going to cause a lot of heartburn for churches and schools, residences, and existing buildings. And it's a whole other conversation that if I teach this class again next time, we'll start to get into. But we'll put them below that parking level.
Below the parking.
The stormwater.
The
systems.
rainwater.
Yes.
I think so.
It's expensive, but really, in an urban site like this, that's the only solution. Unless you could put it underneath the ramp.
Yeah, that would be a good choice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah, I
underneath the
didn't
ramp,
know about that.
near,
Right.
near where it's high, at the
Yeah.
alley, right?
Then you can still have access to.
Right,
And it could still go below the slab.
Right.
But you have a taller volume.
You just
to
cut
do it.
out.
Yeah.
Because you can
maybe
access
just
from,
half
from the side.
Right, you just
half a floor
you
below
just
the
cover,
bottom.
drop out.
Okay, all
And
right.
the tank's weigh a ton, you don't want them
Yeah.
on the low floor.
Yeah. Next to the rainwater tank, also the rainwater tank, there will be using both rainwater and rainwater to recycle. That's used for the building for the toilets. That's for the
You were going
water.
over the HVAC.
HVAC, yeah. So
So last time we looked at the drawing, we talked about what's not a good idea about putting supply and return
close to
together.
each other. Yeah.
Look on the upper right hand side of your drawing.
Yeah, these are
Oh,
4 feet apart.
You can see there.
Yeah. But they're lined up. They're nice and lined up. I love that. So you've taken some advice from me, at least on that. I even see the construction lines on. This is making me cry.
So
That's a good thing too. Like, what's this?
That's a conference room.
So, but that's not, oh, it's served by supply, but not.
I missed that. Probably.
Missing
Yeah.
an icon there.
It's a climate that's obviously probably heat more than. But in a sense, I think the supply is generally going to be on the outward.
Yeah,
part of the
I think generally they're in the right disposition. Well, maybe not so much here, but like here, that's good. I would just drop those.
Supplies are more outboard.
Yeah, because they're going to warm the
Returns are
glass.
Inboard, because the more thermal loss is going to be on that peripheral wall, right?
So the supply.
Put the red line diffuser
Closer to the outside
to the
wall.
outside
Close
window.
outside,
And let the return be back to the inboard
Right,
wall.
that produces that movement.
And in some cases, I think you may need more emitters than you're showing. Can we zoom out a little bit? Go to the right. I suspect some of those larger retail spaces might wind up having to double the emitters.
Yeah, so you'll have this out,
Probably a couple
but this one might be way back.
And there might be two returns.
Yeah, or you could do
for the
like,
retail.
You could do
Yeah,
one here and then one here.
based on the amount of square footage you have, I would think that's not going to.
Because I was gonna do that, but then when we was talking about it with the unit plan with the kitchen and living room, when I put 2 of them for each.
No, I'm just talking about the
Just
retail.
retail.
I'm only
Okay.
talking about
All right.
retail.
Yeah, let's go upstairs now.
I'm saying based on the square footage, and based
I
on the
have a
thermal
quick-
loss, I'm not sure that's going to be enough.
Quick question. The trash room, the meal room, and the meal room, I didn't put it.
Trash room, what?
He doesn't have any service.
Yeah, is that?
That's going to be air conditioned. And it's going to have exhaust.
It's going to have its own exhaust.
Because that room's going to stink.
What about the
Really?
mail room and
Or is it completely inboard without any surrounding outside walls?
there's got one outside wall right here, and the mail room got outside wall.
What
room are we
where
talking
the
about?
mail room? I'm not sure that's needed because it's just going to get air from the lobby.
It's probably not,
It's-
does it even
it's-
have a door?
Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
I don't even know.
Yeah, really. See what I mean?
Just make it an extension of the lobby.
Main lobby, already showed you the unit back in the last class, can go back to it. This is just the HVAC for the hallway for the lobby corridor. Also for the gym area, not the library, that's the pray room, the meditation room.
Okay, but again, that's not, I'm looking at that prayer room on the lower right. I got supply on the outside. It looks like the outside wall, but then I got return on the outside wall. Understand what I'm getting at?
I think you're gonna have like one return back here, but you're gonna have heat all along.
Right. You're gonna want it in this room. You're gonna want to put supplies on both sides, and maybe return.
Yeah, that's another place.
Because isn't that also glassed?
Yeah, it is glass right here.
Right, so you understand.
Glass all around.
You understand. You gotta supply where the loss is. So you probably put red, and blue in the middle. All right. That would be my guess here. And
So that way, I want to run the red.
that's the
on
same
the
thing.
outside.
You're gonna want the red on the outside. And the return.
Project the red out to the outside wall.
Right.
Goes. Okay. And flip. Go back. Flip. These would flip.
Okay, they go the other way.
Okay. Red inside.
And where the loss is, supply goes. The loss is not the loss is always along the exterior.
Turn. You say that you want the.
I would put supply and supply, and I would
But you said want to flip the supply and return on the inside also.
What in the fourth drawer?
Yeah.
That space is so small.
It doesn't need that many returns.
Yeah, I would think Professor Farlow's correct. You could probably will come to returns.
Probably 3. Not even.
Supply, I don't know what you're saying. The reason why you put the supply in is you want a positive pressure before the, you put the return in, you also suck it out. You want more supply, not much return. I'm also asking the same question. Do I need to return at all?
I'm thinking not.
In other words, you just let the air infiltrate directly.
Once the door opens for the unit, then that balances that space out.
Right. So you would be very, want to always positive pressure before the return. If you cut it down to 6 or something, that's 3, that'd be all.
I'll change that. The last thing is the renewable energy. Talk
Okay.
about using PV panel, really over in Detroit.
Also on the roof up there.
Yeah, so it's also used for shading to prevent heat loss. Not
used for shading.
Heat gain. Shading for the top.
Oh, okay.
To prevent rain during summer.
So that all basically gets converted to AC.
Yeah.
Goes into the electrical system. And we have that meter.
Storing the batteries.
We do. I think we do, but I think this takes 5 cents. I don't know. So
Plus the
that means
price
you don't
for
have to have batteries.
Oh.
I don't because I think just push it. If you had more electricity, then you could sell it back to the Edison. They don't give you much for it. Now, when would that ever happen? I'm not sure. I don't know. It's basically 20. You're pretty much draining it down.
Yeah, I mean,
What I'm saying.
Yeah.
buildings like schools, right? Or
You're only going to hit at best. You're going to get like 5 to 10%
Office
of this
buildings.
building's electrical load. Trust me. Because even though you're energy conserving, you're not going to produce more than you could. I would highly doubt it.
Not like machine. Someone like
And again, the 20% off. Plus you have the VR. That's all right. That's all. That runs off electricity. So you got a lot of pump loads. Okay, that's fine. Good.
that's it on my part. Nora, you have anything else further?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk really quick about what we want to do with the exterior panels in order to design our facade. So
You're
we
on.
don't. Sorry. Hello.
You're on. You're on.
Oh. Well, since we don't really have, we can't have the right panels be uploaded on Revit, and we haven't really discussed this much, but we are looking into how we could design the facade. So I have a simple diagram to describe how we want to address it. So I'll share my screen. So this is how we will kind of want to address it. So because we discussed how we will have our, was it return, or one of our HVAC units is gonna, the part where the HVAC unit is gonna be on the balcony, and we talked about how we could implement the design of the panels as a louver.
Correct.
So we were considering having this kind of Equitone panel on the balcony facades. So they could act as the railing and as the panel walls that are behind the railing, as well as acting as a louver for the HVAC unit. And then the rest of the facade, which is not a balcony, can be this kind of facade.
Lovely. I love how streamlined that is and how one idea is working a number of different ways. And that promotes efficiency and economy.
Yeah, that's what we're going for.
Are all the exterior panels Equitone?
Yeah, we're going for one material, just different ways of how they are made.
I understand that, but going back to Professor Farlow's comment, that also, in a way, streamlines and simplifies construction and construction coordination.
It reduces the number of trades, right? You reduce the number of modules.
Right, and if you've got errors, you know who to go to.
Right. Yeah,
But
I remember
you can also promote variety and difference by doing different colors or doing different textures or finishes and doing them random or doing them in areas, right? So those are ways, variations on a theme, right?
Yeah.
Does Equitone qualify for LEED credits? Do you know?
Yeah, I know it's LEED certified. I just don't know how many.
Okay, that might be worth researching.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also something real quick. Oh, go ahead.
I like where you're taking this.
There's one detail that I can't show here, but I want to show you. It's part of this section. So we also want to address the horizontal aspect of the building, how we could have an Equitone panel that runs along across from the slab at a different color. What do you think of that idea? Sorry.
I think you ought to illustrate it as an elevation.
Does it project forward or recess or in the same plane?
It's on the same plane as, so it's like this. It's
in the same plane.
Yeah, are you thinking of orienting the panels, the Equitone panels, with predominantly vertical points?
Yeah.
Yep. So
yeah, except for that one moment where the levels change and where the slab is.
So I think the jury's still out for me on that. I think you
Okay.
ought to look at how this, because I think what happens that the vertical panels that are, let's say, the dark gray, are all just going to stack and be like soldiers in line because they're
Right.
going to be interrupted by the belt line. Right.
Mhm.
But in the picture example that you had a moment ago, there was something kind of like nice about the sort of running bond or the modified bond pattern, right? Where the horizontal joints didn't always line up. They kind of told their own story. So
Right.
there's something nice about that.
I'll make one other.
that's- Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry. Think about how you wrap the stair course as well.
Mhm.
Those are going to be unique elements, and I think they may need their own attention.
Right.
Okay.
Well, especially the stair cores are inside, so I
Yeah,
assume
that's right.
they might not. They might not be.
Aren't they seen?
Sorry.
Aren't they seen from the courtyard view? They are seen from the courtyard view, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, see, they're nodules on the courtyard.
Mhm.
So I think they require design attention with respect to how the panels are enveloping them or contain them. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
My instinct is to start with elevation studies that look like this example.
Right.
Can you do about a 10-foot or 15-foot wide swath?
Yeah.
All the way from the grade, all the way to the roof.
All the way to the parapet.
A very large, nice drawing that's oriented vertically, and then do a corresponding wall section cut through that. And I'd say incorporate a balcony idea. Incorporate one of the balconies into that elevation, and the balcony into the section cut.
I kind of did this, and I'm thinking that's what you're talking about. I'm sharing my screen. It's not showing the separation of the balcony to the other panel,
Oh.
Interesting.
but
No, I want to take just a slice of the long elevation, not the whole elevation.
Yeah, he's like
you-
one of the options.
Did you open up the module 3 for lab and you look at the back where the drawings are of the enlarged elevations?
yeah,
You look back there at the back of the assignment?
yes,
That's
yeah,
what
it's showing just a portion of it.
You know what I'm asking for, right?
Not settle down onto like.
You know what I'm asking for, right? That's where I'm headed.
Okay.
Okay?
Wait, Nora.
Oh, yeah.
How did you put the Equitone on the screen? How did you
What?
put it on the elevation on Revit?
Oh, I didn't use Revit. It was Photoshop.
Okay.
You're very clever, Nora.
Yeah, if we do that in Revit, we have
Thank you.
to have our own family for each of the panels, create different
Yeah.
families. They say do just change color, all of them, just one.
What else, Bodger?
I have nothing more.
Yeah, Mark is hungry, so.
Yeah, I gotta eat dinner.
Yeah, you can go if you want.
I'm gonna go get a steak and a salad in a cup.
Honestly,
Dan.
you sounded like you wanted more, to be honest. You were like, oh, what else? Like, give me more, give me more. I was like,
All right, I would say the way I would study more of the elevations would be at the larger scale like we just talked about.
Okay.
And I would think you do want to look at the issues Professor Farlow talked about, and again, maybe look at the stair core element as well and consider how that would be wrapped. But I'd like to see those large elevations and sections to be able to address some issues in the construction.
Yeah, what options are y'all taking? What are you choosing? I forgot.
For
the final assignment in the studio. What options are you?
I think it was option 3.
I don't remember them. So
Let me.
Remember the
I
name?
would have to go back, but I want to say it was. I recall option 3.
oh,
they
we need more
actually
than that.
weren't numbered. Yeah, I need more than that.
I thought I had it open. Where
I
is it?
emailed the assignment, the grade sheets to you today, yes?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So the second page has the options listed. You go to the second.
Oh. Wrong file.
Also on the grade sheet, there are slightly new percentages in bold on the left on the first.
I'm pretty sure we're looking into the rendered street elevation. We were also looking into prepare a drawing diagram illustrating how the context informs your building massing strategy. So that was part of the site plan.
Yeah.
And we're also looking into illustrate accurate color texture characteristics of specific materials, indicated joints, fasten, blah blah blah. We're also maybe looking to prepare a com check analysis of prompted building.
Yeah, the com check.
Building. Yeah.
Or the energy modeling one, because this is all in.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions while we're here. So, Nora, you can do daylight studies in Revit. Have you tried that?
I have, and it gives me shadows. I'm able to put time and the month.
I'm not talking about a sunlight. I'm not talking about a sunlight today. I'm talking about daylight values. It's a difference.
Oh, okay. No, I've done what I just mentioned.
Okay, go back to, if you look at the assignment in the module with the links that I gave you, I think one or two of them link you up to how to do a daylight study in Revit. Okay?
Okay.
And to be honest with you, that may be a much quicker way to address the daylighting question than going through the Berkeley software.
Okay.
Because I believe, if I recall, last year we did this, and it will tell you, it even tells you if you earn LEED credits or not, and what % of your spaces are daylit. For LEED, to get all the LEED credits, you need 75% of your spaces to be daylit. Typically with LEED 4. I'm not sure exactly with multifamily. Also, did anyone load Tally today?
Nora says she can't get it.
I know that. I'm asking if anyone else did. Did anyone successfully load Tally today?
I have. I was able to load Tally. What?
Did it load successfully?
Yeah.
Did you use the admin.ltu email, or did you use your email?
I can't. I did two. I did both, and once it didn't work, and another time it worked.
You know which one worked?
I think first time I used the LTU email and it didn't work.
Then you use the admin?
Then I used my email and it worked.
Okay, Nora, did you try that?
No, I haven't tried my own. I've been doing LTU.
So with Nora, I saw the problem. It's not a email problem. It's a display problem. She showed me her screen, and it's just that you have to click on something specific, and whenever her Tally tab opens up, it's too small to click on anything.
Let me share it real quick.
I don't know if that makes sense. It's just literally how, yeah.
Is it a display?
See, I have Tally here, but once I click on it, it gets stuck right there and it doesn't do anything. And then
yeah, exactly that. So if you see that screen right there, for me it is larger, and I can actually click on it and see more options. But hers is too small, so she can't click on anything.
Can't access the options in the screen.
Yeah, she can.
Your screen.
Well, I can do this, and then it prompts me to this, and then once I do that, I can accept. But I don't know what's going on after. I can't open the window. There's no, even if I click it, and that's where I am.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's a screen setting. Any idea, Fajr? Sorry?
No.
So Fajr, it's working for you or no?
It's working normally for me, yeah. But I have my own computer. I don't use a school computer.
Nora doesn't have a school computer either, right?
Oh,
No, I don't.
well, yeah.
What is your screen
It's weird.
What is your screen resolution setting, Fodger? Do you remember?
I can look at it right now. I think it's 1080 by 920.
Nora, what's yours?
How do I'm not sure. Do I go through Revit or just? I'm sorry?
Right click on the desktop.
Yeah, just go to your desktop. Like go back to the desktop.
Display settings.
Yeah.
Then go to advanced.
Whoa.
Where is it?
It's right there.
Oh.
Resolution.
Maybe drop it down to like.
Wait. What's that 250%? Try 100%.
150 works too.
No.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
150.
Wait. Leave it at 100%, then change it to 1080.
Yes.
I think because his screen is so large.
1080 is not. Well.
Just work through with them, and let's see what happens next.
Keep it.
Then go back to your Revit.
Go back and do what you did earlier.
Whoa, that's weird.
No.
That's a big mouse, though.
What?
Do you have to be signed in to activate it?
Did you register, Fodger?
No, I didn't have to. I just did the exact same thing. I clicked on it, and then the screen, the page was just larger.
This is for okay.
Yeah, it's only for her. Okay, I did have a help request out, and Nora, I haven't been on the computer for hours, so I don't know if anything came back to me. But I'll check when I get home.
All right. Well, I'll also I'll send a request to Autodesk.
Okay, and in the meantime, I would go back and look at that Revit daylighting link for the YouTube video that shows how that can be done, and see if maybe you want to try that as an alternate for daylighting, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
You can
Thank
go
you.
eat now.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Too. So long.
Have a good night.